Hey y'all, good morning. So this morning I come to you with a different type of message. The Lord awoke me from a dream of I was watching a woman and her lover, and it started out with intimacy in the hallway of their home, and the scene moved to the bedroom, and in the bedroom, while an intimate act was being performed, the man was beating the woman. He was punching her, he was hitting her, and he was choking her. And I know this is large amounts of information, but then I was able to see her after the fact. This is going on more and more and more today in our world, in our country. And this is something that is very dear to my heart, as I have been a victim of physical abuse as well. I've also been a victim of sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and spiritual abuse, actually, and verbal abuse. These are the most significant forms of abuse. Intellectual or spiritual abuse refers to such behaviors as punishing someone for having different intellectual interests or religious beliefs others than those of others in the family, preventing them from attending functions or what have you because of who they are. Emotional or psychological abuse covers a variety of behaviors that hurt or injure others, even though no physical contact may be involved. And I do believe with narcissistic abuse on the rise, this is one of the worst forms of abuse that someone can encounter. And this affects both male and female. In fact, emotional abuse is a stronger predictor than physical abuse of likelihood of suicide attempts later in life. One form of an emotional abuse involves the destruction of someone's pet or valued possessions in order to cause pain. Another abuse behavior is emotional blackmail, such as threatening to commit suicide unless the other person does what is wanted. Other behaviors include silent treatment, shaming, humility, some humiliating someone in front of others, or pushing them for receiving an onward honor. So what I've experienced in that is the constant silent jabs and tear downs that people do. And eventually they say emotional and mental abuse, when that arises, you can't see the scars, you can't see the pain, but it is doing something to the wiring of the person's self on the inward level. It rewires them to have shame, guilt, lack of self-love, and then starts negative talk. And some of them I've heard because I used to choose abusive men, some of them would say, you'll never have anybody better than me. You'll never know love because I'm the only one that'll ever love you. You're not worth it. You're unworthy. These are things that are said. Verbal abuse refers to regular and consistent belittling, name calling, labeling, ridicule of a person, but it also includes spoken threats. It's one of the most difficult forms of abuse to prove because it does not leave physical scars or other evidence, but is nonetheless hurtful. And it does cause trauma. Verbal abuse occurs in schools, workplaces, and in families all over. And it could be children bullying children. It is on the rise right now. Sexual abuse. I don't really think that we need to go further into this. Most people know sexual abuse can refer to a child being molested. It can refer to an adult. It can refer to family. And there's a new sexual abuse of bestiality that's out there that God has shown me, which is really disturbing. But it says girls are most likely abused sexually than boys, and I disagree with that. 100% I disagree with that. I feel like it's pretty equal, and even on some levels, because men don't generally step out and explain that they've been raped or abused, they don't talk about it. And that's, I think, where you get these men that I think that there is a large, I think that transgenderism, bisexuality, homosexuality comes I've done a deep dive study, and a majority of those people that are in that category have been sexually abused as a child, male and female. So I've only found one person that said that they weren't, and I've talked to hundreds. So I think sexual abuse, it destroys the person's psyche. And as you know, with me spiritually, it casts a demon to torment the soul. It is a vitally horrible thing to go through. Physical abuse refers to the striking or beating of another person with the hands or an object, but may include assault with a knife, gun, or weapon. I have been tied down. I have been so many things. Heads thrown through walls. There's so many women that go through this, and it's a silent struggle because we don't feel like we have the means to leave. We don't feel like we can leave. And then usually there's two or more that go together here. Usually with physical abuse, there's also verbal abuse. There's also psychological abuse. So these things are all together coming at this person, and maybe they are being controlled by their finances and they don't have the money to get out of the situation. And they have nowhere to turn. Maybe that person has cut them off from other family and friends, or somebody's around. I've been in a situation where somebody had recorders throughout my whole entire house, and even in my vehicles, in my car, listening to all of my conversations. I've had those, and that's traumatizing as well. All of these are types of abuse. A lot of times neglect is put in this as well. So what is abuse? Abuse refers to harmful or injurious treatment of another human being that may include physical, sexual, verbal, psychological, emotional, intellectual, or spiritual maltreatment. Abuse may coexist with neglect, which is defined as failure to meet a dependent person's basic physical or medical needs, emotional deprivation, and or desertion. Neglect is sometimes described as passive abuse. They have moments where they will be really well to you. They'll treat you very well. And then in the next moment, they'll beat you. And within an hour later, they're sorry. So they're trying to love on you. It is a confused mindsetting for those that are in it. What I'm coming to say today, God told me to talk about this. And this is very near and dear to my heart, and it causes great emotion in me, and I apologize for that. There's a lot of people right now that are going through past trauma. They're dealing with self-healing. They're trying to heal from past trauma. They're trying to get out of the abuse that they've been through in all of their life. And they don't know where there's a place to go. There's so many different avenues for help for you. Do not stay in abuse. I know I stayed in abuse because I felt, because of marriage, that there was a church that kept telling me that I had to stay, that I married the man, that I needed to stay in that relationship and continue because it was long suffering, perseverance, and until death did we part. That is not true. And God does not want a woman to stay in an abusive relationship. And I know men out there that have been beaten by women. I know men out there that have been sexually abused by women. I know men out there that have been through the same thing. It is not one or the other. And I want you to know that if you are going through this abuse, there is help for you. And if PM me, I will find your area and I will find help for you. I will do whatever I can to help you. We no longer have to sit in our shame. We no longer have to sit and feel unloved, unwanted. And for some, it's dangerous. Death is around the corner. Death is next. And for these people that have this anger, this rage, and this sense of abuse that's upon them, they are covered in demons, most likely. And when they lose control, they may not be able to stop. And for all of those that have no children, we need to be protecting people and stepping out. We need to be looking towards the Lord and asking for guidance and wisdom. But we should never leave somebody we know and love in a state of abuse. In a state of abuse, we need to be able to find them a refuge, a safe haven, a place to go, and let them know they're not alone. Please reach out if you need anything. And I pray for all of you that are out there sitting in your abuse. Know you're not alone and know you're loved. Shalom.